All right, Airtel Africa PLC has released its 9-month unaudited 2021 earnings. Revenue there, $3.4 billion, 21% year-on-year growth. Operating profit, 43.1% year-on-year growth at $1.1 billion. Profit after tax, $514 million, 97.3% year-on-year growth for Airtel Africa. Joining us to discuss the earnings result plus the plans of the company is the Group CEO of Airtel Africa PLC, Mr. Segun Ogunsanya. Thank you so much for joining us, sir. Good afternoon to you. And he is, of course, joining us from Dubai. Sir, I wanted to get into your earnings. Data revenue, I guess was that the main driver of your results? Because it was up, I think, about 37.2%. Voice was up 16%.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. All of our revenue pillars are up. Voice is up, data is up, and mobile money is up as well. Voice is up 16%, data is up 37%, and mobile money, which is a very good revenue enough, is also up 37%. So I'm very pleased with the set of results which we've delivered in the first 9 months of the financial year.
Mobile money, as far as the potential, you've mentioned the 37% growth. What is the potential for mobile money on the African continent for your operations?
You know, if you look at the level of banking penetration in sub-Saharan Africa, it's still sort of 50%, between 45 and 50%, varies from country to country. So I see this as a way of bridging the financial divide, bridging the digital divide. So beyond the money-making opportunity for us, we just want to be socially responsible and bring a lot more people into the financial franchise. And if you couple this with the low level of banking penetration that I mentioned, and also with the high cost of some of the banking services, I think we're going to be working with the banks, with the various regulators to bring financial services to those who don't have the benefit of what you and I are used to.
All right. Now, your average revenue per user, that was up double digits, 17%. Is that from offering more service choices?
It's from a combination of things. We've increased our customer base. We've also increased usage in terms of voice. People consume a lot more voice. In terms of data, people use a lot more data. And also in terms of mobile money, people use a lot more mobile money. So usage contributed a lot to the increase in output that you see.
Great stuff. I want to ask you about your strategy on cell phone towers. I noticed there was a $9 million gain from selling from some cell phone tower assets from your subsidiaries in Rwanda and Madagascar. So what is the strategy? Is it ownership or leasing? Well, what's the strategy with cell towers?
You know, we're not planning to own towers anymore. We chose to monetize some of the assets which are not very strategic to our revenue accretion, and we also want to reduce our debt burden. So we're selling such assets. We've sold our towers in about 12 countries now, 2 to go. And what you saw in Rwanda, what you've seen in Tanzania, is part of our efforts to monetize some of the assets which are not very strategic to. We don't have to own towers in order to run a mobile telecommunication service. So that's why we decided to sell the towers.
All right. Now, I want to look at revenues from your regions. Nigeria led all revenue regions, 29% growth. How important is Nigeria to your operations?
We have 3 regions. We've got the Francophone countries, about 7 countries. We've got the East Africa region made up of 6 countries, from Malawi to Uganda to Rwanda. And of course, we have Nigeria as a standalone country. All countries in our portfolio are very important. Nigeria, because of its size, is a bigger part of our portfolio. But I mean, every country plays a part in a very big portfolio. That's why we're in 14 different countries in Africa. Of course, we're very happy with our results in Nigeria, very happy with the customer base, with the revenues, and we continue to support every country where we operate in, from Rwanda to DRC, and Nigeria would continue to enjoy a big part of our capex.
Yeah, I'm going to get to your capex in a sec, because that also increased. But I want to get, you had some other comments from you in your 9-month unaudited financials where you said, quote, that I am particularly pleased with the developments in Nigeria, where in November we received approval in principle for both a payment service bank mobile money license and a super agent license from the Central Bank of Nigeria. What's the potential there? What are you looking ahead for with respect to what those licenses can yield for you?
Like I said earlier, mobile money for us is not all about making money. It's about driving financial inclusion. In each of our 14 countries, we're working with the governments, we're working with the regulators, we're working with the banking community to penetrate communities where they don't have banking services, where they don't have financial services. So it's not so much about making money, it's about creating a level play field for everyone in urban area, in a rural area to enjoy financial services, whether it be just simple savings or investment products or insurance products. That's what we really want to work on. And that's why I'm so pleased when the licenses were issued to us sometime in November last year. We're going to continue to work with the regulator, to work with the banking community, to really bring financial services to a lot more people in Nigeria.
Great stuff. And now to the capital expenditure, because this particular interest. CapEx, I think, increased 7% year on year, $432 million. What are your CapEx plans for 2022?
Normally, we spend between $650 million and $750 million every year. That's the guidance I've given. We continue to stay within those broad framework, between $650 million and $750 million in CapEx expenditure.
And as far as the spending is concerned, is 5G, for instance, part of those plans as far as the CapEx outlay is concerned?
We're going to continue to spend behind our network, expanding our footprint, expanding 4G, working on 5G where it is relevant. We also continue to invest within our various countries, the large countries as well. So we're very clear that the funding that is required to deliver good mobile services, either in terms of telephone or in terms of financial services, we have sufficient capacity to deploy.
Great stuff. Now you're in 14 countries. Do you have expansion plans as far as your footprint is concerned into more countries in Africa?
I don't say no. We continue to just review the options available to us. As I speak now, we have sufficient scope to continue to grow in each of those 14 countries. And we look for opportunities to expand. If the opportunities present with the right financials, with the right operating framework, we'll definitely consider. But from what I see now, we just want to continue to deepen our penetration in those 14 countries where we have operations for now.
Great stuff. Last month, Airtel Africa was inducted into the London Stock Exchange FTSE 100 index. What does that mean for the firm? More exposure to investors, or how are you taking in that news?
We're very excited. We listed in London in 2019. Actually, we listed in Nigeria as well, Lagos and London at the same time. And 3 years within our listing, we've been promoted to FTSE 100. That means we're one of the 100 largest companies in the United Kingdom, even though we're operating in Africa. It's something that I'm very proud of. Myself and my colleagues, we're extremely proud of what we've done in the last 2-3 years. It means we're going to have access to a lot more funding, a lot more investors, a lot more indices are going to be tracking our performance. And we're very pleased with that.
Can I ask if you plan on listing on other exchanges around the world? Is there any breaking news you want to give us in that regard?
I'm unable to answer that question now. We like our listing in Lagos. We like the interest Nigerians have taken in our stock. We also enjoy the interest the international investors have taken in our stock in the UK. For now, we're satisfied with the 2 listings that we have, Lagos and London.
Fantastic. Now, I want to pick your brain on this. What's your, growth outlook for telecommunications in Africa in 2022? For instance, we spoke with, we had the CEO of a healthcare firm a couple weeks ago who spoke about partnership with telcos like yours in order to get their healthcare services infrastructure, across the country here in Nigeria. So I guess as far as partnerships with other firms, growth outlook for telcos, since it's so embedded in the fiber of many economies in Africa, what's your outlook there?
I think we're in a very sweet spot. If you look at the level of penetration in Africa, some countries claim that 100% penetration. But if you look at unique SIM penetration, it's still less than 50% in most of the countries in Africa. That shows what is possible. Only 50% of unique subscribers have access to telephone services in Africa. If you go beyond that and look at the consumption, how much data is being consumed, how much voice is being consumed, still relatively very low compared to other parts of the world. If I can share some figures with you, if you look at voice being consumed in most parts of Africa, it is less than 250, 300 minutes in a month. In Asia, it's about twice that figure. If you look at the data that is being used, in most parts of Africa, it's about 3 gig. In India, it's almost 16 gig. That shows the level of growth available in our industry. That is the core of the business. Beyond the core, you now talk about what we can do in partnership with other ecosystem players. You mentioned the pharmaceutical industry, a lot we can do with the industry, educational industry, so many things we can do with so many other sectors, with telecommunication as a backbone. So I think we more like horizontal, over which every other thing can be put upon. And that's a very big space that available for us to occupy.
Indeed, the potential is huge. What do you make of growth? I want to take you back to 5G. Now, you mentioned, of course, your plans there. Is there still, should there be focus on, I guess, 4G and 3G? Because there's still many rural communities across Africa that aren't there yet. Can that happen simultaneously with a push for 5G as well, in your view?
Yeah, it's not going to be one or the other. It's going to be all of them being put together. Given the various levels of affordabilities we have in Africa, devices are still very expensive for most parts of Africa. So I think we're still going to have a lot of people using 4G, a lot more people using 2G, and 5G is going to come. The use cases are not very matured now, but I see a system whereby we're going to have a lot of people still using 4G services, few people using 5G services. And the challenge for us in Africa, how do we move a lot more people from 2G services to 4G services? We don't want to leave so many people still on 2G services in Africa. But that's going to be driven by affordability, by how quickly we're able to bring affordable phones to most parts of Africa.
Excellent stuff. And then, final question for you, sir. I have to milk this advantage. We're talking to you. Data. So many people. I think it's kind of linked to my first question to you. Is your strategy still on voice? You gave me those figures earlier where you said there's still room to grow for voice and there's still room to grow for data. But because of the amount of people that are using data, the chatter is that telco companies are focusing there. Are you still focused on voice as well? Is voice still important to your growth?
I mentioned earlier that we grew our voice revenue by 16%, 16, data by 37%, twice that growth for voice. But voice is still the largest part of the mix as I speak now. It is changing, but I think voice will continue to play a major role in Africa for the next couple of years, mainly because of the low level of penetration of SIM card in the communities. Over time, it's going to change, but in the short term, I think both voice, data, and mobile money are going to continue to be relevant to the growth aspirations of telcos in Africa.
Thank you so much for your time, sir. Mr. Segun Ogunsanya, Group CEO of Airtel Africa PLC. We appreciate you coming on the show.